Hey, what's up? This is Longest Solo Ever, and today we are going to be going over how to make a chromatic scale for your original character's voice in Friday Night Funkin'. Now, today we're going to be using Ableton Live. If you're using FL Studio, that's okay. I made a tutorial for that too, and you can find the link down in the description below. If you don't have the free trial of Ableton Live, I really recommend heading to ableton.com and downloading the 90-day free trial. It is my #1 recommendation as far as music software goes. I really think it's the best option for everybody to start with. There's one other tool you'll need for this today. It's a free version of Auto-Tune. It's called M-Auto Pitch, and it's by Melda Production, you'll see here. So you can head right to meldaproduction.com, find M-Auto Pitch, and download it with the M-FreeFX bundle. After you've installed it, you're going to want to go to Options, Preferences in Ableton, head to the Plugins tab here, and just make sure you rescan your plugins and see if M-Auto Pitch shows up. If M-Auto Pitch doesn't show up, double check where you installed it and make sure it matches whatever Ableton shows here. It probably won't say this. My computer setup's a little weird, so it won't be here. It may be somewhere else. Just make sure wherever M-Auto Pitch gets installed, it matches where Ableton is looking for it. Then rescan, and it should show up over here in Plugins on the left. It'll likely be under VST3, Melda Production. You should find M-Auto Pitch there. We're going to come back to that later. I just want to make sure you have that installed first. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you open Ableton Live, you're going to want to go to the arrangement view. We're in the session view right now, which is great for live performances, but that's not what we're doing right now. So head to the top right, click these little horizontal bars here, or you can press Tab to switch over to it, and you should see a screen just like this. We're not going to need these MIDI channels. Let's get rid of them. We can click right on them. You can hold Shift to select a couple of them, and then just hit Delete on your keyboard. They should go away. In fact, we're only going to need one of these audio channels, so you can get rid of the other one as well. We should just have one audio channel left. Now, make sure you set the input of this channel to wherever your microphone is coming in. That'll probably be channel 1 or 2. In fact, it may already be showing up. If it is, when you're talking, you should see levels coming in here. I don't, because mine's set to channel 3. I set it to 3, and you can see levels coming in there. Now, that's great. Press this little circle button here. It should turn red, and now you should see levels coming in on the channel. You may even hear your voice coming back at you depending on your settings. That's great. That means we're ready to record. And we're going to record our voice saying a few different vowels. Most Friday Night Funkin' mods use A, E, A, O, and U, but you can do whatever you want with this. You don't have to make 6 sounds. You can make 2 sounds, whatever you want to do. And we're going to press record up here and start recording our vowel sounds. You may not hear that count off before. That's okay. So you can see my levels coming in here. You can see audio being recorded, and I'm going to do my vowel sounds now. And what we're going to try to do is fill up 2 of these little boxes here. So it should read from 1 number and then to 2 numbers above it. So I'm going to go from 11 to 13. Ah, Okay, there we go. It should look pretty much like that. You'll notice I tried to stay on 1 note, singing 1 note. It's okay if you don't have a great singing voice. Just try to keep your voice in the same place. Don't do like, ah, e, eh, oh. You don't want to be too crazy and all over the place. Try to stay in the same register of your voice. Okay, we've got our audio here. Now, we're going to cut it down to just the pieces we want. We don't need any of this talking here beforehand, and we don't need these spaces in between either. I'm going to zoom in on this by mousing over the ruler up here. You can see my mouse turns to a little magnifying glass. I'm going to zoom in a bit, right? And now I can see a lot better. And if you click on here, I can just select what I don't want. Scroll over a little bit to get it. You can always zoom in, zoom out, get where you need to go, and then delete. And I'm going to do that for all the spaces in between these. Just select and then hit delete. I'm just hitting the delete key on here. If you make a mistake, you can always Control Z to go back. None of this is permanent, so don't worry. And you'll notice I'm cutting these down to perfect 2-measure lengths here, right? Now, notice here I actually started a little bit after the thing. That's not great. We want to fix that. So what I'm going to do, if I right-click here, I can change how often these grid marks are. And I actually just want to turn the grid off for a second. So I'm going to turn the grid off. You can see they changed to dotted lines. I just choose that down here. And now I'm going to mouse over the edge of this. It turns into a little bracket, which is going to let me squeeze this in a bit. Cool. I'm going to turn the grid back on. I want it on 1 bar, and I can drag it back right into place. I'm going to extend the end of it as well. So we have a nice, perfect 2 bars of sound. That's what we're looking for here, 2 bars of sound. And it should be just nice, big, clean, even sound. Great. That looks great. I'm going to take each of these and just bring them right to the beginning of my session. I'm grabbing them right by their name and dragging them to the left, clicking and dragging, bringing them over here. And we should have, I have 5 I ended up with, different sounds. Let's take a listen. And you can click. I'm just pressing spacebar to start and stop the sound. So we have 5 vowel sounds. We need to auto-tune them so they're all one nice clean note, and that's where M auto pitch is going to come in. You can always just type up here and search it, M auto, and there it is, M auto pitch. Great. I'm going to drag that right onto our audio track, straight on there. And I let go, it should show up here. And now, if I play this, it's going to auto-tune it like T-Pain style. That's not great, right? We just want 1 note here. So if you look down at this little teeny tiny piano picture here, we are going to turn off everything except the leftmost note. So turn off the black keys, the white keys, everything except that leftmost note, which is C. That's the first note in our chromatic scale. That's the only note we want to tune this to right now. We turn off everything except C, this bottom note. We're going to turn speed to 100, and you can leave everything else as is. Let's listen to that now. Cool. That's it. That's all we're looking for. We can close M auto pitch now. And here's the thing. That's not being done to the audio yet. We can still turn it off. So you can see I just turned it on and off with this little power switch here. We need to apply that to the audio. We need to finalize it, like glue it on there. And the way we're going to do that, go over to the audio track itself, where it says 1 audio here, right click on it and choose freeze track. That's going to freeze it solid, commit what we just did. And we're going to right click and do it one more time, and we're going to flatten it, which applies the audio, the changes we made to that audio. And now we have, you can see they changed, right? They look different. Cool. Next, we need to change these to different notes. Our character needs to be able to sing a scale, a whole bunch of different notes. We have 5 notes here. In the end, we probably want about 3 octaves of notes to work with. An octave is just one range from C all the way up to the next C. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, that's an octave. And then C, E, D, 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 D is your next octave, right? We want 3 of those, I think. That's like a good range to work with. So 3 octaves, 12 notes per octave, that's 36 notes we need, right? Let's make 1 octave first. We have 5 notes here. I'm going to select, there's a little extra stuff on the end. You can delete it. Should have 10 perfect measures here, exactly what we got. You can select them, go to Edit, Duplicate. Now we have 10 notes, or 20 measures, because each one was 2 measures long, right? And then we need 2 more notes. You can just duplicate whichever ones you want. You can, we can grab the last 2 and duplicate them again. This super doesn't matter. It's just going to determine what vowels you end up with on what notes, which isn't really a big deal, but if you want to be picky about it, you can. Okay, so we've got 24 measures here. We can see that, which means we've got 12 notes, which is a full octave of notes in a musical scale. What we want to do now, this is going to start getting a little complicated. Really make sure you're following every step exactly as is. You're going to double click on the name of one of these, and you should now see this waveform below, right? Okay, this is really important. Make sure you get this exactly. You are going to select all of these notes we just recorded, every single one. Down here where it says warp should be turned on. And beats, we need to pull that down to Complex Pro. That's going to let us shift these notes from one note to the other without changing the sound of our voice too much. We're just changing the note it's singing. Okay, that's done. You can click off to deselect it, and we're just going to choose one at a time. Our first one, we're not going to change at all because we're singing the first note. We're singing C. Our second one, we're going to change by 1 half step. So set this to +1. Click on our next one, type 2 and enter. Next one, type 3. And enter. And we're just going to go through these 4, and 11. That's going to account for the first 12 notes of our scale, counting that 0 at the beginning. And we can hear it now. Check it out. Cool. There we go. There's all the first 12 notes of our scale. We want 2 more of these, right? So let's select all of those again. We're going to select everything just exactly what we just did. Edit, duplicate, and we should have another octave here, right? We want to make sure there's no space in between or anything because the sampler we're going to use is going to use this distance to determine where the notes are. So every note needs to be exactly 2 measures long, exactly identical to the last ones. Now, leaving those selected, don't deselect them. If you did deselect them, make sure you select only the ones we just made. You can always undo if you have to do it again. Control Z will bring you back. So let's select them, edit, duplicate, or you can hit Control D to duplicate if you want to save time. Now, click down on your pitch thing. On this little pitch knob here, you can see it shows a range because we're actually shifting these by all different amounts. We're going to move these all up 1 octave. That's 12 half steps. So I'm going to click on that and then hit my up arrow key exactly 12 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And now we should hear exactly 1 note difference between the last one of the last octave and the first one of this octave. Let's check it out. Perfect. And if you want to double check yourself, you can always click here. Make sure this last one says 11, 12, and it should always go up by exactly 1 number each time. Great. I'm going to grab from 12 up to 23 and do exactly that one more time. I duplicated 12 steps up. Cool. Okay. There is our chromatic scale. There's all the notes. What do we do with that information now, right? So there's a few things you can do. If you're making this scale for somebody else to use, you want to be able to share this file with them. So you are going to select everything from end to beginning. You're going to go to edit one last time, and we are going to scroll all the way down to consolidate. That's going to just glue these all together into one permanent audio file that has all the information in it that they need. Once that's done consolidating, you can click on it one more time, make sure it's selected like that. Go over to File, Export Audio and Video, and then you can make sure that Encode PCM is on, and you can send them a WAV file, which is like the highest quality audio file you can use. They're a little big, but they are just the best way to send this kind of information. You can also send an MP3, but that's going to be lower quality. So a PCM WAV file is what you want to do. And then you can export that to a file that you can then send over Discord or email, whatever. Now, if you want to use this in a sampler right now, I've done a separate tutorial for that, but we'll go over it quickly here. We're going to go back to this left side here, head to Instruments, and then find Simpler, or you can always just type Simpler up here. Drag that out into space here, and you'll see we have a space to drop a sample. That's going to be this. We're going to grab this right by its name, drag it straight into that spot. Go over to the left here, change this from Classic Mode to Slice Mode, change this from Trigger to Gate, and then Slice By from Transient to Beat. Then remember, we had 2 measures for every note, right? We're going to change our division to 2 bars, and it's going to line up perfectly. Now, if you have a MIDI keyboard, you can do this. Otherwise, you can use your computer keyboard as well. The middle row of keys, if you go to Options and then Computer MIDI Keyboard, you can play the notes on there. But I have a piano in front of me, so I can just play. And there we go. There's a sound font that we just made from scratch ourselves. That's pretty cool. If you like this video and you want more modding tutorials for Friday Night Funkin', please subscribe down below. Leave me a comment if you have any questions about anything, and I will get back to you. Have a wonderful day and happy modding.